Hi, my math friends. This video is a review of what we did in class today that is solving percent problems using ratio reasoning. But we're also going to go into harder problems that you can't solve just by looking at the two ratios and try a strategy that's called cross products. Before I begin teaching, I want to tell you how I will know that you watched this video. I will know that you watched this video if tomorrow you are able to walk into class with a list of 6 problems and their work that matches the 6 problems I'm going to do during this video and the work. So what I mean by that is right now you need to push pause in the video, find a piece of paper, find something to write with. And then as I do these problems, you need to take your own notes, pushing pause on the video as often as you need to so that you get written down everything that I write down and can show that to me on your way in the door tomorrow morning. So push pause now, get the materials you need, and then we'll jump into the video. All right, the first problem that we're going to do is 90% of 90% of the whole number 10 is what little part? As a review, we remembered in class today that there's always percent, and then this is the whole, and this is the part. And we can set up 2 ratios that are equal to each other. One comes from the percent. The ratio that comes from 90% is 90 to 100. And of course, that is parts on the top and wholes on the bottom. So over here, when we make a ratio that comes from the numbers, we're going to put parts on the top and wholes on the bottom. The part I don't know, so I'm just going to mark it with P, and then the whole is 10. Then in class, we discussed how you can compare the 2 ratios and figure out the multiplicative relationship. To get from 100 to 10, we divided by 10. So up here, we'll do 90 divided by 10, and that is 9. So 90% of 10, the part that is 9. The next one is blank percent of 300 is 15. Again, I have a percent, and then I have a whole, and I have a part. I'm going to set up 2 ratios that are equal to each other. The first ratio comes from the percent. I don't know the percent, but percents are always out of 100. And then in the other one, I always put the part in the top and the whole in the bottom. The part from the numbers is 15. The whole from the numbers is 300. Then I compare these. You could ask yourself, how do you get from 100 to 300? Well, you times by 3. So what times 3 is 15? Of course, 5 times 3 is 15. Another way to think about that would be to say 300 divided by 3 is 100. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. But either way, the percent then is 5. 5% of 300 is 15. Last one that's kind of a review of what we did in class. I'm going to set up 2 ratios that are equal to each other. The first ratio comes from the percent, and it has the part in the top and the whole in the bottom. With 56%, the part is 56 out of the whole is 100. Okay, percents are always out of 100. And then in my problem, I have percent, and then the first number is always the whole, and the last number is always the part. So when I set up my second ratio, I'm going to put 28 in the top because that's where the parts go, and the number I don't know in the bottom, that's where the wholes go. I just put question marks. I also could have put a letter there to kind of save the space. I ask myself, let's see, how did I get from 56 to 28? Well, that's a divide by 2. So 100, divided by 2 is 50. Okay, so 56% of 50 is 28. I hope you understand how to do those. That's what we did in class today. Now it gets a little trickier though, because sometimes the numbers don't work out quite so nicely. So this is kind of our new stuff. 80% of 35 is what number? As a reminder, we have our percent, that's going to make the first ratio, and then we have our whole, and our missing part is the part, and those together are going to make the second ratio. So here's my ratios. I have 80 to 100 is the same as what mystery part to the whole, which is 35. Now, this gets problematic because there's not an easy way to get from 100 to 35. So watch the new strategy that you're going to do. Okay, it's called cross products. We're going to take two numbers that are on a diagonal from each other, 80 and 35, and we're going to, multiply them together. 80 times 35, and then we're going to put our equal sign, and we're going to do the other cross, which is 100 times our mystery number P. 100 times our mystery number P. Then I'm going to simplify with my calculator. So I have 80 times 35 equals 2,800 equals 100 times P. And then I'm asking myself, what is P? Okay, if you don't know how to solve a problem like this, you're asking yourself 100 times what number is 2,800? Of course, then P equals 28. Okay, if you need a strategy for solving that, you can divide both sides by 100. If I have 100 times P, and then I divide it by 100, then I can have 2,800, but I have to also divide by 100 over there. Okay, and so then I got 2,800 divided by 100, and then 100 times P divided by 100, and I got P equals 28. So 80% of 35 is 28. That was my missing amount. Let me show you another one. 8%. I'm going to write a ratio that comes from 8%. That's 8 to 100, 8 parts to 100 wholes. And then, of course, I have percent. This must be the whole. This must be the part. So when I set this up over here, the whole I don't know. The part is 5.2. There's not an easy way to get from 8 to 5.2, so I'm going to use my strategy called cross products. I'm going to take this diagonal, which is 8 times W, and write it down, 8 times W, then my equal sign, and I'm going to do the other diagonal, 100 times 5.2, I'm going to simplify with my calculator. So over here, let's see, 100 times 5.2, 100 times 5.2, in case you can't do that in your head, is 520. So 8 times our mystery number equals 520. If you don't know how to solve that, you can divide both sides by 8. So 520 divided by 8 is 65. And then over here, 8 times W divided by 8 leaves me with just my W. That whole, that missing amount, is 65. Okay, I know that this is a little tricky, but stay with me, take some good notes. We're just going to do one more. I'm going to set up a ratio that comes from the percent. This time it's the percent that's missing. but of course it's out of 100, is equal to, let's see, in my problem I always have percent and then whole and then part. So over here I put the part in the top, which is 45, and the whole in the bottom, which is 60. There's not an easy way to turn 100 into 60. Okay, so I can't use the shortcut I was using in class where I could just, whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. I can't do that. So instead, I'm going to use my strategy called cross products. I'm going to multiply these two together. So I have 60 times P. And then I'm going to multiply my other two together, which is 100 times 45. And I'm going to set those equal to each other because of the equal sign in the middle. Okay, so then I have 60 times some mystery number equals, I can do this one in my head, 4,500 or 4,500. If you don't know how to solve that, I want to get P by itself. So right now I have P multiplied by 60. If I have P multiplied by 60, I can divide by 60. But if you divide by 60 on this side, you have to divide by 60 on this side also, which gets me just P by itself. And let's see, 4,500 divided by 60 equals 75. So my percent is 75%. 75% of 60 is 45. I hope that that's starting to make sense. We'll talk a lot more about this tomorrow, but I wanted you to have seen some problems and I want you to have some good notes. Your notes are your ticket in the door in the morning. I'll see you tomorrow.